Hi, welcome to the video. So I'm just going to go over a mistake that a lot of predators make. And I just want to point out, sometimes we try to make sense of things and we got a lot on our mind and we're not looking at what's really the text is trying to say. So the text I specifically want to talk about is Daniel 9, chapter 9, verse 24. So yeah, if we go over here, here's what it says in the NASB 95. It says, 70 weeks have been decreed for your people and your holy city, to finish the transgression, to make an end of sin, to make atonement for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision, prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place. Actually, that's not in the, that's a bad translation. The word place is not in the Hebrew. That throws people off. Let's try American Standard Version. And anoint the most holy. I kind of like the American Standard Version. When it comes to the Hebrew, it seems to be a better translation. So yeah. So I just want to point out there's an article, a very lengthy research article by Mike Sullivan. He's somebody I have a lot of respect for. Unfortunately, he blocks people that disagrees with him. I mean, I'm one of them, and he's done it to other people too. That's just not cool. I hate to say that. What happened with me, I just simply pointed out in a thread. I believe my timeline is more accurate, and I encourage just somebody else to look at my timeline. I was blocked for it, so I would never do that. I don't block people that disagree with me. Instead, I would be like, oh, let's take a look at your timeline and talk about it, But anyway, so he put together a really nice lengthy article, and it's called Full Preterism is Gospel Eschatology, Overcoming the Death from Genesis to Revelation. He gives you the verses. But on page 8 of it, he quotes David Green. This is where the problem lies in. And David Green writes, see article after this one, this is the preterist paradox. Quote, to the prophet Daniel, the prophecy of the 70 weeks might have sounded contradictory. Gabriel first told him in verse 24 that at the end of 70 weeks, again, that at the end of 70 weeks, the transgression would be finished and it would be made of sins, and basically there's 6 things mentioned in Daniel 24. I want to point out that's not what the verse says. It does not say that at the end of the 70 weeks these things occur. Let's take a look again what Daniel 24 says. 70 weeks are decreed upon thy people and upon the holy city to finish transgression. So in other words, this can happen inside that 70th week or it can happen after the 70th week. It does not say it happens inside the 70th week. And to make an end of sins, same thing. It can happen inside the 70th week or after. It just can't happen before, obviously. To make reconciliation for iniquity. Again, it can happen inside the 70th week or after. It can happen 40 years later. It can happen 25 years later. Or it can happen inside the 70th week. Bring in everlasting righteousness. That could be the first day of the 70th week or the middle, or it can be. But all I'm telling you, 70 weeks are decreed upon the people and upon the whole city to accomplish these things. Okay, let me give you a parallel analogy. Let's say I want to be able to plow the fields using a tractor. So I'm a multi-millionaire, to say. I'm not, but in real life, but let's just say I am. So I spend the money to build a factory, 7 years to build a factory, to build the first tractor and plow. All right? So those 7 years were decreed to build a tractor so I can plow the fields. It's to finish plowing the fields, and I want that tractor to last, let's say, 40 years, okay? That factory results in building a tractor, and which then allows the field to be plowed. It does not mean I take that 7 year building the factory to build a tractor and I shift it over or split it down the middle or any of that stuff, which a lot of preterists do. It just simply means a decree to accomplish these things over here. Okay? So the 70 weeks was to accomplish, basically to establish the new covenant order, all right? And then it gets consummated in some respects later on, like to seal up vision and prophecy. Okay, the 70th week in and of itself, that did not happen, but that happened later on. That's the result of the 70 weeks later on, all right? So here I have a timeline where I have the 70 weeks right here, blue. All right, you have the first 49 years, and then the 482 years, and then the 7 years here, the final 7 years. Notice I don't have any gaps in there. So basically what happens is, if we look at the first three things mentioned at the end of 924, finish transgression, make an innocence, make reconciliation for iniquity. So these are passages that you support that, yes, this happened at the cross. It happened in the middle of the 70th week, all right? And then the next one, bring everlasting righteousness. You read that right in Matthew 3:15, said to bring in, or to fulfill all righteousness. So he starts the process at his baptism when he became anointed. Peter understands this in Acts chapter 10, I believe around 38, verse 38, around there. Let's just go there for a second here. Okay, so Acts 10. Okay, so let's go to, okay, so verse 37. That saying yourself know, which was published throughout all Judea, beginning from Galilee. I don't know why they would say published. That's a bad translation. They didn't have printing presses back then, and they had papyrus, but let's just go with New American Standard here. So that should be a better. Okay, yourselves know the thing which took place throughout all Judea, starting from Galilee, after the baptism which John proclaimed. You know of Jesus of Nazareth. Now John talked about John the Baptist of Nazareth, how God anointed him, okay, with the Holy Spirit power, and how he went about doing good things and healing, okay. So that's where we get, the process begins. It's not fulfilled there. It doesn't become fulfilled. It's a process because it still goes on today. Okay, it's an everlasting covenant. It keeps going on. The process started with his baptism, and then when Jesus died on the cross, he said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And the Father had control from there, the Spirit. So, yeah, so let's see here. And move on to number 2, seal up vision and prophecy. Now, that did not happen inside the 70th week, but because of the 70th week, it results in the sealing of vision and prophecy by AD 66. That's when I believe the book of Revelation is written. So if you go to Revelation 10:4, it said, And when the seven thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, See up those things which the seven thunders uttered, and write them not. All right, so I believe, everybody had different opinions on when the book of Revelation is written. I believe the vision received March 20th to 26th, and then when he got it all written down, probably during that time, and then shortly after that, he would have spread that information to the 7 churches in the Asia Minor. So this did not take place until after the 70th week. Does that mean I shook the whole 490 years, 70 weeks over to make that fit? It creates all kinds of problems over here. All right, that's not what it means. So some people put a gap in the middle and they shift this over. There's no need to do that. The text. The point I'm trying to make here, Daniel 9:24, it's not required that happen inside that 70th week. All right, it's required as a result of the 70th week. All right, and then the anointing most holy, of course, again, we just kind of went over that already. Number one. Unfortunately, a lot of people see the word place in here, most holy place, that is not in Hebrew, and it's thrown a lot of people off. So anyway, so I just want to just relook at that verse. It does not say that have to happen inside that 70th week. All right, and so the 70th week, that second half is important. Christ makes the covenant with many, all right, and people need to enter in that covenant. Hello? That's what the second half, what's going on in the second half of the 70th week. And so, the first half of ministry, all right. So, so basically the 70th week, if the very first day is Jesus' baptism, he comes anointed, and the very last day, the very last day is, Tishri 6 of 80-26 is the day of Jesus' baptism. 7 years later in Tishri 5 is the last day of the Jews at the 70th week, and then that very next day, basically based on time times and half a time. All right, so you have the crucifixion, Passover, 80-30, and you go time times half time on both sides. And that's the fifth day going both directions of the Yom Teruah, the fall feast. Okay, it's a 10-day feast. So when you work backwards, when you work from right to left, it's day 6 out of 10 is half a time, which is how we get Tishri 6 and 80-26. If you go forward, it's day 5 out of 10, which is half a time, which is Tishri 5 of 80-33. All right, and then the very next day, the gospel went to the Gentiles by Peter. Peter's not an apostle to Gentiles, he's an apostle to Jews, okay? But this is just the official transition of the gospel going from the Jew to Gentile, all right? Where he shared the gospel with the Cornelius household in Acts 10. And that's when the promise to Abraham that be a father to many nations took off. That's when it began. That's when the 70 weeks that ended. That's when the covenant, the everlasting covenant, was made firm or confirmed. It took 7 years to do it. It's not a 7-year long covenant like a lot of preachers believe. It just took 7 years to make that happen. Jesus came anointed the first day, and then his 3.5-year ministry, and then it's cut off in the middle, and then the gospel went to the Jews. Again, people have to enter that covenant that's established, right? Otherwise, there's no foundation to it. Nobody's entering into it. There's no, there's no direction. There's no flow. If that's the case. So 3.5 years, it went to the Jews, and that last day, Tishri 6 of 80-33. Went to the Cornelius household, and they were baptized. Matter of fact, let's just go over here, Acts 10. Verse 4 says, "Surely no one can refuse the water for these to be baptized who have received the Holy Spirit. This we did, can he?" And he ordered them to be baptized in the name of Jesus. Then they asked him to stay on for a few days. Yeah. So it was exactly 7 years to the day in the Hebraic calendar from Jesus' baptism to Cornelius' baptism. And another thing I kind of want to point out is kind of cool. Let's see here. So if you look at the crucifixion, Jesus died 9th hour Wednesday. Exactly 3.5 years later to the hour, the Lord appeared to Cornelius, asked him to send for Simon, Peter, exactly 3.5 years later to the hour. And then you go back to Jesus rose. He could not have risen any earlier than the 9th hour, because remember, 72 hours, which is on a Saturday. And a lot of people get confused with the Sabbath, by the way. There's the high Sabbath during the week that Jesus died. And so when we talk about the high Sabbath, the Sabbath, it's not talking about the weekly Sabbath. And that's where people think, oh, I'm about to die on a Friday. No, it's actually Thursday that week was the high Sabbath. So you go down here, and click on this here. John 19:31, the Jews therefore, because it was the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day. For that Sabbath was a high day, the high Sabbath. Okay, that was Thursday. All right. That's where a lot of people get confused. But anyway, so we could not have written any earlier than the 9th hour on Saturday. And so that's 2 to 3 p.m. Exactly 3.5 years later, to that hour, Cornelius is waiting to hear the gospel from Peter. Isn't that cool? So gives you an idea of the significance of that 70th week. So anyway, that's when that it was at that point when the Holy Spirit descended upon the Cornelius household. That's when the covenant was made firm or confirmed, just like Daniel 9. Let's see here. Let's see here. Daniel 9:27 said, "He shall make a firm covenant many for a week." And so it's an everlasting covenant. It took 7 years to do, to make it firm or to confirm it, depending on translation. So, alrighty. So anyway, I just want to make that clear that that's a mistake that a lot of preterists make. They think in their mind that everything has to happen inside that 70th week. And I'm just trying to point out, no, the text does not require that. And so, again, 70 weeks are decreed upon thy people and the holy city to finish, basically to accomplish all these things. It does not say that it has to happen inside that 70th week, even though the majority of them do. And you need to establish the new covenant first before you can consummate the old. And so that's what's going on here. It's established first, and it gets consummated later. So anyway, thank you very much, and hope you have a great day, and hope you continue to enjoy your studies. Thank you.